change the way I understand the state.
We have reclaimed power.
We will continue to do the little and the lot that we can to make sure that we achieve a free quality education that is decolonized.
We announced a plan for fee-free higher education.
I don't think I will ever pass by a policeman and not immediately turns up.
We are the future of this country, and we will demand and we will get free and quality education.
It starts mid-October 2015 at Wits University in Johannesburg, a protest movement that spreads like wildfire to campuses across the nation. Fed up with sky-high tuition fees, students come out in their numbers chanting, "Fees must fall." The protest would only die down when government announces a zero-fee increase for 2016.
We are here, comrades, to restore the dignity of a black child. Comrades, we are going to also restore the dignity of the police. Comrades, the police were trained that a black person is a target. When the white students protest at the front, they don't shoot. Comrades, when the black bodies are at the front, they shoot. Comrades, the life of a black man in this country is very cheap.
But it isn't all plain sailing. Student leadership squabbles at Wits threaten to derail the movement.
At this point in time, we don't recognize the agreement that has been made by management and the SRC because firstly, management is engaging with the wrong people. They should be engaging with us as Fees Must Fall because we are the official representatives of students on this campus when it comes to free education, free quality education in our lifetime. So engaging with SRC, I believe that management was trying to act in good faith. However, we don't recognize the outcome that has come from that meeting with the SRC because of the fact that the agreements that have been made are no different from the agreements that were made last year when they wanted to stop us from protesting when we began in 2015.
The protests would flare up again in 2016 following the announcement of a fee increase. Classes are suspended as running battles with police become the order of the day. At Wits University, student protest action spills over into Johannesburg, leading to looting and chaos. At Cape Peninsula University of Technology, some security personnel are even locked inside a burning building. The cost of damage to property due to Fees Must Fall protests is later estimated at 600 million. And police question the motives behind the actions of some of the student leaders.
This is no more just a Fees Must Fall matter. We have said that the criminality has taken advantage of the situation. We have said that the people with agendas of their own have infiltrated the Fees Must Fall initiative. I don't think it is helping us in any way. If you saw what was happening on that campus, the amount of stones that were pelted at the security personnel, with police monitoring the situation from a distance, you would have understood at a point where the police acted that it was necessary to do so.
But not everyone resorts to violence to get their message across. Some students extend an olive branch to heavily armed riot police. A group of women dares to bear all as tensions on campus reach crisis levels.
I mean, like a lot of comrades, I have gone through extreme anxiety, depression. Fees Must Fall fundamentally changed the way I view and interact with the world. It changed the way I understand the state in a very personal and violent and physical way. I don't trust the state.
We announced a plan for fee-free higher education for students from poor and working class backgrounds.
And that's part of the heartbreak, that this institution that I had been raised to trust because of its rainbow ideals was a failure. It failed me and it failed a lot of black people. I will never be the same. I don't think I'll ever be the same. I don't think I'll ever walk this world in the same way. I don't think I will ever pass by a policeman and not immediately tense up.
But in the end, it all proves worthwhile. Just when student efforts seem hopeless, former President Jacob Zuma makes a surprise announcement.
The ANC government has also made progress in making higher education affordable and accessible to all. The National Student Financial Aid Scheme increased from 2.4 billion rand in 2008 to 15 billion rand in 2017.
Fees have fallen. Government is left scrambling to find the billions needed to fund free higher education, but for some student leaders, their troubles are just beginning. Wits SRC President Mcebo Dlamini still faces court battles on various charges around the violent protests. Kaya Tegesha is serving a 5-year jail term for burning a police van in Braamfontein in 2016.
Our Fees Must Fall leaders, most of them, the ones, especially the ones who actually got so much recognition from the media, they are nowhere to be found. We can't see them right now. They're not having any views about anything. It's like everyone is just suddenly diverted to something else and everyone is just going on with their lives while there's still this thing that is banning. Because basically we don't have free education yet. We don't have it. We still actually, we're supposed to still pay for free education. We have to pay back NSFAS money. And that is not free education. It's not what we wanted.
I'm tired because even with this half-assed consolation prize, they're still persecuting students. For what? They've legitimately, they've literally admitted that we were right. They know we were right. They know they shot at us. They know that we were right. And they gave us this half consolation prize, and yet you're still on this witch hunt, which doesn't make sense. Why are you on a witch hunt? 3 years, 2 years, 4 years after the fact, why are you still persecuting students for the very thing that you gave them a year ago? Why does that make sense to you?
Student organization remain hopeful that government would grant amnesty to the protest leaders.
Much has changed since the class of 76 bravely took the streets in protest. The Education Department has rolled out a 3-systems model to equip learners with the technical skills. There's also been progress in building new schools whilst working to eliminate the dreaded bucket system. But more than 2 decades into democracy, has the pace of reform left much to be desired?
Well, the focus on plunky schools actually came up at around 2009, 2010, where an audit was done of all of our schools, and then it was seen that approximately 200 schools were known as plunky schools. Those are schools that were built with inappropriate materials during the apartheid era. So obviously there was a need for us to now replace those schools because some of the structures are inappropriate and dangerous. So we made a formal attempt to change our infrastructure budget, the way we looked at it. So it wasn't just about building new schools, we looked at replacing existing schools with brick and mortar structures. Then in about 2013, I think it was, the national government came on board to assist us with financial assistance known as the CD project. So that added on an additional 25 schools that they were targeting for the replacements, but we also had our own projects in place. I know that this year we've got 3 replacement schools that will be completed. If we look at Kwafaku, that will be done next year.
Learners must also contend with various social ills. Issues like bullying, gangsterism, even cyber stalking are growing threats.
Yes, in the Western Cape we've got high gangsterism rates, and yes, it does affect our schools, unfortunately. And we very much sympathise with our teachers and learners that live and work in these areas, because it does affect their education. Well, bullying is prevalent across South Africa, and it is one of the things that we are looking at this year. We actually are about to launch a campaign on bullying. It specifically looks at the social media aspects of bullying, because a lot of kids pick up their phones when they see someone being bullied and then repost it, which is even further harmful to the learner that is being bullied. So what we are trying to do is raise awareness that learners must raise their voice and not their phones in these circumstances.
In many ways, the Soweto uprising continues. Hundreds of black school kids paid their lives in 1976 in the quest for freedom. Fast forward to the present day, the Fees Must Fall movement sparked violence on campus, but the winds of change were blowing. Even parents, fed up with problems at some schools, have held angry protests.
Right through my 5 years at school, it was exactly that. We had a lot of protests. We went through 1985 and 86 where we protested. And at our school we established the Rocklands Action Committee, which were part of the Western Cape Action Committee. We actually established COSAS branches at our schools at that time, 1985. And then obviously due to the riots, it was then a state of emergency was called. And with the state of emergency came a number of things. One, you were not allowed to be outside school during the school period.
Youth Day is an annual celebration of those who stood up to tyranny and won. Yet so many people live in deplorable conditions in townships to this day.
How it influenced me, it was, I remember vividly, it was not the 9th, it was, yes, here in Cape Town, we went out on the 9th or 11th, when is the National Women's Day? I mustn't confuse this. It's the 9th, on the 11th. But June 16 already in South Africa, you could sense that something was coming up. You could sense the state of emergency and urgency. Nevertheless, you would monitor media, reading on the newspaper, popular newspaper then, it was the World. You know, I knew my elder brother would bring that the World would read, but things were not normal.
There are fights in the past of the event of the June 16. It really encouraged me a lot and has influenced me a lot, because seeing that black children fighting for their rights and knowing that what their rights are, it really encouraged me and influenced me to stand hand in hand with other black children and to stand ground on our rights and demand our rights.
To me, Youth Day is a significance to every black child, to every black person who's living in this country, because actually around the world, because it actually, it's not about like being free from all that has happened. It's about like expressing our culture, that what we feel, how you feel.
Ultimately, the spirit of Soweto's historic uprising is liberating for us all. But are we allowing the past to prevent us from truly enjoying the fruits of liberation? In the words of former public protector Thuli Madonsela, racism is not our downfall, but failure to find ourselves and move on is. Let us find ways to empower ourselves and build this country into a formidable nation. Only then can we truly honor the sacrifice of those that have gone before us.
It's Wednesday, June 16th, 1976, one of the darkest days in South Africa's turbulent history, but also a turning point in the nation's destiny. Apartheid police opened fire on school children, killing hundreds and injuring far more. Over 4 decades on, survivors can still hear the sound of gunfire and screams of the dying and wounded.
It was the resistance of the Afrikaner to say we cannot be dictated to by a black student, by a black person actually here. We're just, as I said, doorsteps. We're not supposed to know that what is good for us and what is bad for us. Now, when they resisted, the whites felt that, who are you? My ordinary black kitchen man, garden boy and kitchen girl, what do you know about education? It was not meant for you. So you go on, and then hell broke loose. And it was surprisingly, I was still teaching by then, but the students were so secretive, we hardly knew that it was coming. This was organized by Botieti Machining, and this actually started in Naledi High to be hosting all the other schools, and then Maurice Isaacson, where Tieti Machining was the main venue. So we did not know, during those days we would conduct morning classes as teachers. And we wondered, 7:30, they are not yet here, 8 o'clock, but they'll definitely do this and this. In about 15 minutes time, we heard a voice or sound which we never heard in Soweto. That was the student marching now from Naledi coming to Central White City at Maurice Isaacson. All the schools were there. We did not know. Parents, teachers, police, nobody knew what was happening. And they were marching now. And it was only one way for them. Forward we go, backward never.
The protest is against Afrikaans being used as the language of instruction. Cruel bullets, powerless to stop the message from spreading.
Mathematics ka English. Hey, the question paper little ka Afrikaans di reverse kende. Ke mo strike se thombileng sa bateng. Re strike la di question paper tse. Ka re verse kende nna re sa yetse and a re tsebe. Re tseba ka English mathematics. So re tsere le ka motlaseng ra utlwa bana ba di high school tse ding ba Mamelodi le ba ribane laka le ba tsa ko Thabo ba konopa matlapa ko sekolong go thiwa mafestere ba rasa ba re etswang mo ditlaseng ke ge re etswa mo ditlaseng he re tswa mo ditlase re tlhagana le maphodisa ka dihipo ke he ba re tibisa na ebile se le ka khoboga le mangwele ba thuntsa ka di raba bullet ene ke hopola chief prefect ya ko sekolong se le ba ithuntsha a dula mo D3 a butsuwa teng a hlokofala ka lona letsatsi leo bona le ba tshwere dithunyana re tshwere matlapa wa bona le ka setse selo vele ne ba re defeata ene ba re defeatile ka nnete ka ba bolaile ba bantši ne re lwanela Africans ka ne re sa itsebe Africans ne re sa itsebe mo metseng ne re tseba maths mathematics ka English ba ba no di tlotla mo Africans mo Veskende ne re sa utlwisisi ko ne re sa utlwile gore e ya ka ira eng ka azange ba re rutana mo bophelong.
Whilst we were in the class, we realized that there were people, other students or learners from other schools, they were running over from the schools. So we wanted to know, because we were surprised, why should learners get out of school during school time? And there was some looting now, big guys, they started to fight. They were looting the bottle stores and all these buildings of government, the post office. They burned them. People, it was bad by that day. I started to learn that June 16, it was not only made for people in Pretoria. There was a cause for that. And when I read it through on myself, I find out that it was an exposure of political perspective to the people in South Africa, because people used to talk about the ANC and we were in fear of that. But then after this uprising, we started to realize that people were escaping the country, and there was a lot of people who now went out of the country, and now the image of the South African Student Organization, it was now visible.
Survivors still bear the scars as a stark reminder of what transpired that day.
Lang shala ikhanda ngenduku spam angisathi buthi ushala ngishayela ngenduku spam ngiphinda futhi ngenduku spam kanti uzoshaya ehlweni kulomami ihloko ngesikhathi leso manje bangishaba ehlweni ngiyabaleka ngiyekhanda ngibila futhi station Holland station manje ngibuya futhi Holland station ngawo kwami ke lapho ngawo ngomhlane azange sabona ngokuthi last of ngasaboni next year isikhathi leso isikhathi bengazisikhathi bani isikhathi leso ngisalele lapho eholidation amsho abantu abanebebendlu mhlawumbe bathi ngidakiwe or wezenjani ngifila ngasa basabe ungibhekhe ngenjani beqambe ngidakiwe hayi ngifile ngoba ngibone bathi bhala ngcono silikhiphe liso senze operation silikhiphe ngathi mina ayikumama mathi hayi ngifuna ukukhipha ilihlo bathi doda kimi no likhiphe ngoba ngalikhiphe lelihlo leli uzofetha inhloko uzophatha inhloko inhloko izodemesheka doctor mangifike Barakwana bathi fanye sanjonje nje operation and looking strike ngafuna kwenza operation doctor gcina confused gcina sengivuma ukuthi ngenza operation because bengathanda kwenza operation from there ngagcina sengivumile kwenza operation from there ngaye sanjonje ngenza operation